have spoken to so many women who have faced seemingly insurmountable challenges in their life, in their personal life, in their business, and even in their careers. But two things stood out. Number one, they came out on top, and number two, they did it all while they were afraid. Guess what? These women are not an exclusive. They're around you and they're around me. My job through this Spotlight series is to bring the stories of these women closer to you. So stay tuned for another edition of the Spotlight series. Welcome to another episode of our Spotlight series. My name is Stella, Ihenacho, your host. I'm excited that we have a special, beautiful, dashing woman. I know I always say this through all my interviews, but hey, I'm blessed to have amazing women to interview. And today we have Nikki, Mrs. Nikki Oluseye.
Yes.
Right? Awesome. So just going straight up to it. I'm sure you can see the mannequin next to her. This is shop Velvet QueenShapewear, the work of my special guest today. Just to go straight up to you. So can you just introduce yourself to us for those people who do not know who you are?
Well, hi, Queens. My name is Nikki Oluseye, like she said, and I am the owner CEO of Velvet QueenShapewear. And as you can see, Velvet QueenShapewear decided to step out the norm of the black, white, and nudes and go for colors and sexiness and flirtiness. We wear them. There's no secret about that anymore. And so why do they have to be bland? And why do they make me feel like I'm going to war? And so I decided to come up with some color that makes me want to wear it, for one, makes my husband want to see me in it, right. And still makes me feel empowered, beautiful, sexy, colorful, so that's how that came to be.
I'm curious, for the fact that a lot of people have gotten used to wearing the black, white, and nudes, and I'm wondering what went through your mind to decide that we needed some color in our shapewear. But what was your background? Or what is your background?
So I'm actually in IT. I'm an IT professional, business analysis. Been doing that for well over 17 years. And in corporate, one of the things I do realize is that there was a lack of image somewhat. Women, and even though there's the black, white, and nudes, a lot of women even don't wear foundation, which is weird, which is funny, because our parents, our mothers, wore foundation. They would never step out the house without it. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. There was that lack of that image of women trying to put it together, even in the corporate world. I, growing up, had always loved fashion, and then after having children, with my body changing, I started to adorn foundational pieces more often. Mm-hmm. But what I realized is that there was really a lack of style, a lack of color, mm-hmm. A lack of flair. It was just this stick yourself in this thing and get it over with. And I enjoyed that for years because that was what was out there. Mm-hmm. And so one day I was really, during a milestone birthday for my husband, I was muttering and just upset and like, man, I have to wear this thing again. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a letter to these big companies that do this and tell them they need to incorporate some color and some flair and pizzazz into their styles. And my husband said something, and that's what changed the game. And he said, well, why don't you do it? Mm. And that's how Velvet QueenShapewear was born.
Why don't you do it? Mm-hmm. And that thought never crossed your mind?
It never had. I've always been entrepreneurial. You know how we are. We'll have a job and have a side gig. Always had a side gig. Had shoes on the side. So I've always been entrepreneurial, and I've always known I was going to do something entrepreneurially big. Mm-hmm. But it had never really been about shapewear. That had never crossed. I never went to bed one night and said, you know what? I'm going to change the world one shapewear at a time. That never happened.
I'm so happy you're saying that, because a lot of people want to have, that business. They want to start off something, and they keep looking like, okay, what do I do? A lot of people are doing this, a lot of people are doing that. Mm-hmm. But just looking at the need in their life actually might be their purpose to fulfill that need.
Absolutely, right? Yes. Because like you said, you can turn anywhere and there's shapewear everywhere.
There are a lot of shapewear.
And if I had taken time to stop and think about, oh my gosh, everyone already has shapewear, I wouldn't have done it.
I'm happy you said that. I wanted to ask, when your husband said that, what was going through your mind? Were you like, he's got to be joking, or
I can do this? Because there's so many, like, everywhere you go to their shapewears.
Everywhere. Yes, to the smallest of stores to the highest end of stores, there's shapewear. You know, there's not a lack of shapewear. And when he said that, it must have been the time for it, because when he said that, I sat with it for a moment. I didn't immediately say, "Oh yeah," you know. I sat with it for a little while. Sat with it for some days, marinated on it, spoke to the Father. Lord, you know, it sounds like a good idea, but really, you know, and then just I started to have peace and started to get excited. I was like, I think I can do this. So if I feel that I need some color, I'm sure there's another woman out there that feels, yeah, where's the color? And true to form, I started talking to women and said, you know, you wear shapewear, right? And they're like, yeah. What colors do you find? She was like, what colors can you find? The black, white, and nude, you know? And I was like, don't you feel we should have some color? And everyone's answer was, yeah, wouldn't that be great?
And that's how.
So that solidified.
So it was more like proof of concept.
It was a proof of concept, and you know, I just felt, you know, what's the worst that can happen? Bring it out there, and you know,
and see what happens.
Yeah,
because the man who's tried is better than the man who's still thinking, right?
Absolutely. And I didn't want to live going, I wish I had. At least I did, and wherever the chips fall, I did. And I can move on to next.
Right.
But through it, I have met amazing women like you, for instance. You know, just you know. So it's been no regrets whatsoever.
It's been a journey.
It has been a journey.
And I know that you recently partnered with Zulili.
I did.
How was that?
Now that was awesome. That was awesome. So last year summer, I was at Atlanta Mart. Atlanta Mart here in Atlanta is this huge market that everyone meets, retailers, wholesalers, everyone comes, you know, different brands, everything.
Yeah.
And so I was there, and one of the Zulili agents came by, and she said, I have been everywhere in the world, and I have never seen anything like this.
Oh, wow.
She's like, you need to get your stuff from Zulili. I said, okay, how do I do that? And so that's when the journey began, and I pursued it, and we stayed connected, and we finally made it happen. And it was amazing to see outside of my store, to see others that were everywhere in the world reaching out for a Velvet Queen. It just felt just amazing. And it validated that, yes, there is a need. There is a need for it. People do want to see something different. So
I'm glad that you're saying all this, you know, because first of all, it's one thing to have an idea, and another thing is just the fear of starting. And a lot of people will be like, okay, if I start, I don't know how far it's going to take me. But for you, you know, just having your husband, you know, saying that, why don't you start this yourself? And then now you're in Zulili, and we don't even know how far this actually is going to go. So just the limitless opportunities when you put yourself out there.
Yes.
So thank you so much for taking a step out and showing us that, yes, anything is possible.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So why the name Velvet QueenShapewear?
So that's very interesting. Great question. First and foremost, we're queens. I knew I was going to be serving queens. Queens are royal. Queens are beautiful. Queens carry themselves elegantly. And so that was first. And then I said, I want them to be smoothed out. What is smooth? What feels soft? And immediately came to mind velvet. I'm like, well, there you go, my Velvet Queens.
So some thought was definitely put into the
There
name.
was, yes, absolutely. And I think it's very befitting. Everyone that I come across is a queen, and you know, so it's definitely grown on me.
Wow.
My husband calls it VQ.
Oh.
So my husband will see me wearing something, he'll go, you have a VQ on.
He's on with the product, right? Alright, great. Was there any challenge, or what's your biggest challenge with BQ?
The biggest challenge is, as an emerging brand, getting the name out there, having people really come to terms with, oh, that is something that I want. Because it's new, women would rather touch and feel first, just to really see how this will work for them. And so since I'm an online store, and so I'm not in any brick and mortar store yet. And so that's been a bit of a challenge. Just so they see it, they love it, but they're not sure just yet how will this work for me? So but what I've been able to do is just show up in places, pop-up stores, and the reception has been amazing. Because when they see it in person, it's like, wow, and I always have it on, and I always do peekaboo show for them, like, oh my God, you see, I have it on. You're the best ambassador. I better wear it. Yes, absolutely. You're a product of the product, right? So that has been amazing. So that shows that, I'll do quite a bit more of pop-ups, and hopefully we'll get into stores soon. But for right now, I just would like them to embrace the fact that it's different. It's different. So that's been the biggest challenge, and of course, small businesses, funding and things like that. That comes with the territory. But we're going to break it. We're going to break, absolutely.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I'm seeing a trend here, because you mentioned that people kind of like got comfortable with the black, white, and nudes, and now they see something different, but they're still holding on to what they're comfortable with. What do you think is the reason for that?
The fear of the unknown, the fear of, so what if I get it and it doesn't work for me, or what if I do this and I fall flat on my face, and I'm not even just talking only about this, but just in life. We get comfortable in our little space, and what God has for us is way bigger than that. But he won't push you, he won't, if you want to be there, now he'll do some things to nudge you, but we still have to take that step, and I always think, well, what's the worst that can happen? What is the absolute worst that can happen? So say I wasn't even the one that started this, and I saw this, I'm like, oh my gosh, colors, what's the worst that can happen? I'll buy a piece, I'll put it on and say, I still prefer my black, white, and nude, but guess what? If anyone ever says, oh my gosh, what about colors? I can say, no, I tried it and I didn't like it. As opposed to, I don't know, I've not tried it. So there's a difference. I can now speak intelligently. I can speak as someone who knows, as opposed to holding on to my fear and letting my fear speak for me.
So talking about fears, right? What fear have you had to struggle with in the past, and how did you overcome it?
The first is really just the fear of unknown is one. Just this is, as an example, where do I even start from? What do I know about starting a brand, if you will? Yes, I've had my side gigs, but those were just hustles, if you will. How do I go about getting this out to the world? So that was an initial fear. Then the second fear was, and then if I do get it out there, what if no one cares? What if women look at it and just shrug off and say, we don't need that, But I came to realize very quickly that second fear was more of ego. It had nothing to do with what the women were going to say, or what they were not going to say.
But more about how you were going to feel.
How I was going to feel. And I got over that very quickly when I understood what it was. And just understanding that I'm not out there to serve every single woman, but I'm out there to serve women. Queens, and the ones that want to be served will be served. And if I don't, guess what? Somebody else will. And that was one thing that made me go, I need to do this. Because if someone else does, that would hurt more than I tried but it failed. And so, and having my family as my support helped me through those fears. It helped me break through the concerns I had, because they were right there before, behind me, just cheering me on. You can do this, come on, do this. And they always say it takes a village, and I really do believe it takes a village. And so just having the village of my family, it helped me get through my mindset. Sitting there thinking, what would they think? The women don't care. I'm sitting there worried about what they're thinking, and therefore I'm not going to live out my dreams. And women are not even paying attention to
whatever is going on.
So at the end of it, I would say I didn't live out my life because I was scared because what people were thinking about me or what people would say about me. You know, and the people that did do it don't have two heads like saying in Nigeria. They don't have two heads. They stepped out of whatever it was that they were behind and came forth and did what they did.
Yeah.
And so that those fears I had to sit with. I had to get inside my own head and really begin to analyze, where is this fear coming from? And then deal with it.
How were you able to deal with it?
Well, when I realized that my first one was ego.
You had to check yourself.
I had to check myself. Like, okay, shit. What about you makes you think that, oh my gosh, yeah. You know, if at this point in my life I fall flat on my face, what is the worst that will happen? I will get back up and keep it moving. Right. I've had people that are on grander stages that have fallen flat. Was that the end of the world for them? No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
And so really sitting with myself and getting in my head and understanding and calling on the Father to help me release the nonsense
that is going on.
That is going on really helped propel me and getting in the right circles. It really did help.
Right circle support system. I want to emphasize on that. What about for the woman who doesn't have that support system? What would you tell her, or how would you encourage her to just keep living that dream?
You just said it. Keep living that dream. You take a step every single day. Mm-hmm. Be consistent. If the people in your home are not supportive, go find you a community that is. There's a community out there always that's ready to embrace what you have. Right. You just have to find it. But we're not going to find it by sticking in our homes and staying behind closed doors. We're not going to find it by keeping our mouths shut. We have to open our mouths. We have to be a product of the world. We have to do whatever it is we want people to do for us. Guess what? We have to do it for them. It has to, that's how it is a two-way street. So while you're struggling with trying to build your dream, why don't you help someone build theirs? You know, why don't you give an encouraging word to someone who's going through the same thing? And together you can both lift each other up. And out of the woodworks, you'll find people come in to you to try and help you, and that's what I found. And that's not just in that, but it's for everything in life. Right. Just do your part. Don't make you the focus, and you'll see your help come in from the hills, like the word says.
Yeah, it's. I'm so happy you're talking about all this, because really, if you're struggling with something, why don't you get out of your way to help someone else that's struggling with the same thing? Because in that way, you are inspired. You're taking away the focus from you, and then you will be a blessing to someone.
Absolutely.
The doors will definitely open.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, think about embracing our sexuality. As women, do you think we struggle with that?
I think we do. I think what ends up happening is we're either too far to the left or too far to the right. Too far to the left being, oh my God, no in between. Oh my gosh, I'm just a woman and this is all there is to me. But this all there is to you is phenomenal. Right. It's beautiful. Embrace it, own it, make it yours. And then there's this, oh yeah, I'm all this and a bag of chips and nobody can tell me anything. Okay, lady, chill out a little now. Yes, you do have it working for you, but let's tone it down a little. And I'm not saying dim your light. Please hear me. I'm not saying dim your light. But I am saying, though, find what that is for you, what that power is for you, and use it strategically. Every time you walk into a room, be strategic about what it is you're owning and use it to your benefit. And don't just be all over the place. So that's where the middle ground is. So knowing that it's a privilege to be a woman. It really is. It's an honor to be a woman. And women are powerful. Right. We are powerful. And as long as we understand that, we'll find that doors will open for us where we didn't expect them to open. You know, just growing into who we are, learning that, for instance, sensuality is not being naked, walking down the street, everything's hanging out. That is not, that, you know, that is not cute. Yeah. I could walk into a room and be completely covered up from head to toe and turn more heads than a woman that's in that same room. She said that. Than a woman that's in the same room that is practically naked. Right. It's standing tall. It's letting your presence be known by what's up here. Let that speak for you first. Now, when you walk in, your image is important. Hence, and your image starts from where? Your foundation. Right. So hence, get your foundation. Be cute. Get your foundation right. Once your foundation is right, everything else will be right. And then work the rest. But make sure there's something up here that you're working with. That is the total package. Now, that's the sensual woman.
Wow, that's the sensual woman. That is a total package. What you have in here, but also getting your foundation right, your image right.
Yes.
Okay. So what steps would you give a woman who's saying, oh, I'm struggling with figuring out exactly who I am as a woman. I'm struggling with honing my sexuality, using it as a power, or using it, you know, to boost who God has called me to be on the earth and all that. So how would you direct that woman to finding her sexuality?
And you just started saying something that's very key. The first step is first understanding who you are, how you were created, and why you were created. Sensuality for you is not what it is for me. So understanding what it means for you is key. And you do that by, again, getting in tune with the Creator. Who created you? And finding out, well, why did you create me? What am I here for? Once you understand that, now you have to come to terms with, do you like who you are? Now, whether you, even if you don't, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You've been made. So I would suggest that you get to like yourself very quickly. You know, really get to that. Okay, this is who I am, and deal with it. So this is all a process. You know, I mean, remember when we were young, we were growing up, we were straight as you know what, and then as we, you know, we started owning our curves, evolving, we had children, you know, the curves became even more pronounced, you know, so as you're going on, it's a journey, and understanding each journey and why you're at each stage, and what is the purpose, and at each stage just understanding that this is not the end, but where I am right now, this is what I'm going to do with it. As we continue to grow, we understand more about what makes us feel good, what we don't like. Being able to even voice that, growing up to be able to say, no, that's not for me, or this is for me. You know, so start to find your voice and speak and understand, and take the time to sit with you and understand you. I don't ever walk into a room thinking, oh yeah, I'm about to kill it. That's not the goal. You know, so, but I walk in wanting to look and feel confident. Right. That's okay. That's the goal. To look and feel as if I belong here, and not I happen to just fall into this room. I belong in this room. If you're worthy to be here, so am I. You know, and just begin to understand what makes you comfortable, what doesn't. And the things that don't make you comfortable doesn't necessarily mean you discard. It just means find a way to maybe make it work for you if it's something that you believe needs to be a part of who you are. You know, so it's a lot of learning. There's no one size fits all. It's a journey. Some of us find who we are, find our sensuality earlier than others. Some of us find it the wrong way and have to reel it in and say, okay, that didn't work. So it's a journey. Asking questions, even asking people around you what they think, how they see you, things like that just helps you evolve into, we never know it all. We are in a consistent, continual state of learning. Learn about self, learn about others. And I think That's the goal, which is where which is why I said it's also up here. Because if you stay in a state of learning, you always are fresh. You always recognize. You always know how to pivot, how to sidestep, how to do whatever it is you need to do.
Right. So for the woman who she knew who she was, and then she kind of like lost it, she lost the voice. Maybe kids happen or things happen in life. How would you direct her to finding back who she is, finding back her sexuality?
So sometimes the misconception is that we knew who we were in our 20s.
You drop me some bombs here.
In my 20s, are you kidding? I was just having a blast. I was just having a blast. I mean, what didn't I want to be when I was 20? Oh my gosh, I want to be this. I was still finding myself at 20. And then growing up, of course, with African parents, they have your life laid out for you almost.
Right.
Okay, you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you have kids. Like, okay. And that was the course that I intended to go, absolutely. But in the process, just doing all sorts of things made me also realize that that's not the only thing I would like to be. But I also found myself, like you rightly said, falling into that trap of exactly that. Now, I was lucky to a degree where I got to do a lot of things before I got married.
Okay.
I did a lot of traveling. So when I got married, I was actually ready to settle down and just like, okay. And now when people are, oh my gosh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Like
been there, done that. So that's where I'm a little different. But I will say though that even while now being married and having 2 beautiful children, finding my life having been evolved around them for so long, this is what's now bringing me back out, where I can actually now.
This is your thing.
This is my thing. This is me. When you say Velvet Queen, you're talking Nikki.
Yeah.
And that happened. It wasn't. I had started to go down that path of, is this it? I'm married. My kids are growing up. They have their own friends. They're off doing their thing. And I had things that I like to do. I like the self-care, doing things about, but me. So for years now, I've actually been sitting and thinking, for me, what do I want?
Right.
What is next for me? And I think, likewise, any woman out there, we will go through phases where it's going to be about everybody else for a minute. But when we come out of that phase and we're back to that, okay, I've done for everybody else, I now need to do for me. First, we shouldn't feel guilty about that. Because we tend to feel, oh my gosh, no. You've been given for so long, it's time to put back in. It's time to put back into yourself. And let those around you know, this is my season. I am putting back into me now. And watch them gladly pivot and say, oh, you know what, that is very true. But we don't speak up.
We don't, right?
We don't speak up. We don't let them know how we're feeling. We bottle our feelings in or pour it into everybody else, and we're feeling dejected at the end of the day.
And we assume that they should know, but
and I learned long ago not to assume anything. What I'm feeling is what I'm feeling, and right now I'm not feeling it, people.
Yeah.
Mom's not feeling it. So let's pump the brakes and let's because if mama's not happy, we all know this, nobody's happy. So it's a journey. Queens, I really want you to hear me. None of anything is going to just happen overnight. It is a journey, and you really have to embrace that journey. Really learn to sit. There's going to be a lot of sitting, a lot of taking the time, a lot of finding that inner peace, a lot of finding what works for you, reading, pick up a books, start to listen to podcasts about things that interest you, and you'll start to see things start to come alive in you. But don't be an island, really connect. You'll be surprised to find that there's so many others that are out there that are are looking to do the same thing you're doing, or in that same space.
Yeah.
And together you can become
collaboration, but
yes,
not competition, right?
Exactly. There's so much room at the top.
Right.
For all of us.
For a woman who wants to start up, a shapewear business or, hustle, what advice would you give her? Tangible advice. What can she do to set herself up for success?
Find a mentor. Find a mentor, and success begets success. It doesn't matter what industry.
Okay.
Find someone who has what you want and do what they do. Is one of the first things that I learned a while ago. I was fortunate when I made that decision to say, okay, I am going into this. I'm going to do this. As soon as I did that, the Father brought someone my way that happened to be already a giant in the industry. She was doing fabulously well. She was a Nigerian too, and she was in lingerie. And I met up with her, and she became my mentor.
Yeah.
And so she was able to walk me through the steps.
Wow.
And it was night and day from my side hustles to really doing something, to coming up with by the time I met her, I'd already done my business plan and everything, because I'd been thinking through this for a while. So, take the steps, do your business plan, start to look at your finances. Where are they? What do I need to do to be able to do this? If if you need to start putting money aside, you need to start looking at where you can get funding. Start to develop the idea. Once you become sure what it is you want to do, things start to fall into place. It's when, and the Bible says it so eloquently, if you're double-minded, you're unstable in so many ways.
Right.
And so for as long as you're thinking, well, I want to do shoes. No, I don't want to do clothes. Well, no, then that's exactly what it is. And you're going to half step every single time. But once you've made up, if that is what you're going to do, shoes and clothes, okay, then why not make a boutique out of it? As opposed to, okay, well, sometimes I do shoes, but sometimes I do clothes. Consolidate those ideas somewhat. And prioritize them. And go with the one that's on your heart, that just won't let you sleep. And get that all the way through, and then come to the next and get that all the way through, and let's not stop trying to do every little bit here and there and there, and then at the end of the day we don't have anything to show for what it is. So I would simply just say, once you've decided, start to write things down, make your vision plain. Once it's written, okay, this is it starts to become established in your mind, and do something each day towards it. Be it read a book about that industry or that thing or whatever it is that you want to do. Start to get educated. I think starting there will get any queen out there further along the way than she might be at the time when she's thinking about what it is she even wants to do.
All right, so my next question would be, what is the future for Velvet QueenShapewear? I like to ask this question to my special guests. So this place will be the first place. They said it. So when it happens, I'll be like,
yeah, you heard it
first. So what's the future for Velvet QueenShapewear?
So Velvet Queen is going to be global. Velvet Queen is going to be in stores across the world, in Africa. It's going to be on models all over the world. It's going to be their foundation. That is the big goal. Starting smaller, I would get her into stores,
okay.
Some mainstream stores, and really start coming up. This, for instance, was new. This is new. I started off with just the bottom one first. So this is a two-piece. So a woman can decide to just wear this on its own, or just decide to wear this on its own, or decide to wear them both.
Okay.
And so this is new. And I want to go into some other things that we wear, but when we wear them, we need some support. So just add some support to those. So thinking through as it's been embraced. I'm evolving myself to decide on, oh my gosh, they embraced that very well. I might want to do this more, more colors. Just make it a sea of colors, beauty, more femininity. I really want the woman, when she wears this, to feel empowered. I want her to feel, I can do this.
Yeah.
We don't always feel black, we don't always feel white, we don't always feel nude. Today I might be feeling pink.
Right.
Why can I not have on a pink foundation
Right.
and still go there and rock it? You know, foundation is very essential for any woman who's out there making things happen. Your image your image starts from the moment you get up out of bed.
True.
And start to process in your mind. And I really want women to understand that it's important that they start off with a good foundation. And now that they understand that, recognize that they also have choices. It doesn't have to just be that. Yeah. You can also do this. And no one is saying don't do black, white, or nude ever again.
You have options.
But now you have options.
Right.
That's the key. And then, like, you know, the next thing is I really want to help women, even in their relationships. You can't believe how many times since Velvet QueenShapewear I've heard men go, oh my gosh,
wow.
You know, this is so sexy. I can see my wife wearing this. Just to help women along the way, even in their relationships, while they're determining how to be sensual again. Yeah. You know, I'm hoping that Velvet Queen will help along that journey and be part of it.
I'm sure it has. Yes. I'm sure it has. And what's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Never settle. Know who you are and don't settle. I think it's important to speak up. Yeah. There have been times in my relationships when I haven't said what I should, and at the end of the day, it really did no one any justice. We were no further along than we were, and at the end of the day, it was just wasted effort. Yeah. So understanding who I am and not compromising on my values. So for me to not compromise on my values means what? I have to know what my values are, right? True. So again, this is still learning, you know. So understand, okay, yeah, that won't work for me. You know, guides me every single day. And my values come from the one who created me. And if ever I think, if he were to come right now, would he be happy seeing me doing what I'm doing right now? If ever the answer is no, then things have to change. So that's the biggest thing that I have learned in life, and I try to live by. Okay.
So when you wake up in the morning, how do you set up yourself for success? What do you do? Do you have a routine?
I do. Great question. I do. First thing, I wake up, and again, it can sound cliche if it wants to, but first thing is, thank you, Father. I am so thankful for this day. If I'm here today, it means that you have something for me to do today. Thank you. Just lie there and think about what he's done for me and where I am, and then I pick up my Bible. And after that, just think of what I plan for the day. What is my day going to bring? And ask, of course, after reading, I pray and then ask that His will be done and that He order my steps for the day. And I get up. And as I go through my day, as things are happening, good or bad, I always remember, I say, Father, I ask that your will be done. So if this is happening, it must be your will. And I keep it moving. And that's how I go through my day.
Okay. Yeah. And for the woman who wants to do something afraid, speak to her.
I say do it. I say step out. If it's in your heart to do, it needs to be done. And it doesn't matter what is out there. It doesn't matter who might have been doing it or is doing it. What you want to do is unique to you. It's your purpose. It's what you have been called to do. And what you're going to bring to it, no one else ever can. Right. So do it. Trust in the one who made you. Trust that He will never lead you astray. And go with what you know. Step out there. Read the women in the Bible. Read all their stories of courage and faith. And because they had that faith, we're still talking about them today in this generation. So be a woman that will be talked about in generations to come. Do it. Go forward. Do it. Do it with all your heart. Do it well. But do it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Nikki, for honoring my invitation to come to our set, technically our set. for the interview, for all the, nuggets and the advice, the inspiration behind how far you have come. And I'm so glad that we have a global brand here on Spotlight Series. You heard it here first, and that's just as how she said, just do it afraid. And just keep learning, keep investing in yourself. So till next time, always remember that if she can, you can as well.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.